If you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, it is Monday, February 11th, and it is 11:03 p.m. I am getting a late start tonight, but better late than never. Let's get right into the Q drops because we've got a lot to cover. And we're picking up right from where I left off in the last video. And in the last video, the last drop, Q talked about Googling QAnon and seeing what comes up for the last 30 days. And in this, the first drop from February 11th, Q does exactly that. This Anon actually did a Firefox screenshot of QAnon past 30 days. And I know there's not a hope of you being able to see that, but I am going to come down here where I've got a link to a larger graphic for us to look at. And it's here. All right, let me make this bigger. And this is a screenshot of the last 30 days if you type in QAnon to Google. And you got Russian troll accounts purged by Twitter, pushed QAnon and others, fire at Pizzagate shop, reignites conspiracy theorists who find a home, blah, 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 conspiracy theories and the media, down the rabbit hole of outlandish conspiracy theories. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was seen in public Monday. No, she wasn't. 5 myths about conspiracy theories. Du Levy, appointee to UA Board of Regents, apologizes after she believed QAnon on Friday. Randolph said, no, heavens no. It's strictly entertainment. Oh, really? And so, you know, this is on and on and on. Let's go to page 2. Maybe you can't hear. So let's go back to Q. And I believe I've got the second one here. Yep. All right. Now you guys will probably get bored of my videos over the next several days because we have a huge storm incoming. Supposed to be getting over a foot of snow, extremely high winds, so zero visibility. So I probably won't be leaving my house for 2 to 3 days. The storm's going to last 2 days. I'll probably be snowed in. And so what else will I have to do except videos? So there you go. Anyway, let's get back to what we have at hand here. And again, this is past month QAnon and same sort of thing. Reddit users revolt after reports of Chinese tech giant, blah, blah, blah. YouTube stops recommending conspiracy videos, anti-Trump, pro-war. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. It's all about, and Q said there had actually been over 1,000 articles written about this QAnon so-called conspiracy. Well, they like to call it a conspiracy. We know that it's not. All right, I think that there has been enough proof for all of us. And I really doubt you'd be listening to this if you didn't think that there was enough proof to warrant your use of time, right? Nobody wastes their time. You're not going to listen to information on QAnon if you don't even believe it. So I think that we are all convinced. Okay, now, so after these, this was page 1 and page 2 of the screenshots of QAnon past 30 days. Theme is conspiracy, naturally. That's and down here, Q adds, you attack those you fear the most, right? Of course. The sheer volume of attacks by the largest media corporations in the world should, using common sense and logic, indicate there's something more to the story. Q. Now, that is only human nature. You don't expend that much energy trying to shoot something down if there's absolutely no base for it. If they really believed that only idiots believed this, would they waste the time? Of course they wouldn't. Nobody would. So that in itself should show us that there's more to this. And I think we all know that and are convinced of it. Okay. Oh, and I wanted to update you as well. Many of you know about my newest kitten, and many of you have called it a Democrat cat. And no, he is not a Democrat. He is just a Republican cat with a chewing problem. That's it. But I bought a new cord for my computer and a backup. Well, now I'm on my backup because he did chew my one cord. Again, I fell asleep with my laptop, and that was all that needed to happen for him to rush in, find that opportunity, and chew it. So in two pieces. So anyway, I'm on my backup now, and there's a storm coming in, and I have ordered another backup, but it won't be here till Thursday. So I'm going to have to take very special care of this cord, and I am going to have to keep it under lock and key, or at least stay awake to watch over it. Okay, now let's get on to more important things. All right. Now, where's the start of this? This is like the mother of all posts here. It's a long one, but it's a good one. All right, let me get up to the start of it, which is here. All right, now we have seen this graphic before, and but I'm going to take us out to it again, a larger version, so that you're able to see it, because not all of you may recall when we looked at this in the past or have seen that video. But this is the estimated percentage of undocumented immigrants, and as Q pointed out before, it seems to overlay quite nicely with the areas that are Democrat. So the areas with the largest percentage of undocumented immigrants are largely Democrat, which we didn't need a graphic to tell us that. We already knew that, but it is nice to see the graphic and have it proven to us. Let's make it a little bit bigger. So yeah, you can see. Look at the areas that are Democrat. These are all the biggest areas that are undocumented immigrants. Pretty plain to see. Let's go back. No, really, let's. Okay, and so the next thing Q after that provides us is a link, and we're going to go out and take a boo at that. All right, and this is Department of Justice, Office of Public Affairs for immediate release. Acting Attorney General and Secretary of Homeland Security submit a joint report on impact of foreign interference on election and political campaign infrastructure in 2018 elections. Report concludes no material impact of foreign interference on election or political campaign infrastructure in 2018 elections. Now, we're not talking about Democrats cheating. We're talking about foreign influence or interference. Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker and Secretary of Homeland Security Kirstjen Nielsen yesterday submitted a joint report to President Donald J. Trump evaluating the impact of any foreign interference on election infrastructure or the infrastructure of political organizations, including campaigns and candidates in the 2018 midterm elections. The classified report was prepared pursuant to Section 1B of Executive Order 13848, imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign influence in the United States election, which the President issued on September 12, 2018. Through the 2018 midterm election cycle, the Department of Justice and Homeland Security worked closely with the federal, state, local, and private sector partners, including all 50 states and more than 1,400 local jurisdictions, to support efforts to secure election infrastructure and limit risk posed by foreign interference. Efforts to safeguard the 2020 elections are already underway. Although the specific conclusions within the joint report must remain classified, the departments have concluded there is no evidence to date that any identified activities of a foreign government or foreign agent had a material impact on the integrity or security of election infrastructure or political campaign infrastructure used in the 2018 midterm elections for the United States Congress. This finding was informed by a report prepared by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, ODNI, pursuant to the same executive order, and is consistent with what was indicated by the U.S. government after the 2018 elections. While the report remains classified, its findings will help drive future efforts to protect election and political campaign infrastructure from foreign interference. Now, this is very interesting because wouldn't you say that allowing undocumented, illegal foreigners to vote would be foreign interference? Because I would say, yes, it is. So why isn't that addressed? I'd like to know. Wouldn't you? Okay, well, let's go back and see what Q has to say. Now, it says only when the election harms the Democrat Party will they claim foreign interference. So they're not saying that there was any foreign interference. In fact, they're saying there was none. But, why would they argue with that? Because it helped the Democrats. So they're not going to say, oh yeah, there was foreign interference. But they would if the Republicans had won, right? They would have said, oh, there was interference. It must have been the Russians. It must, whatever they would say. Keyword foreign. But what about domestic interference? So Q is saying, okay, there was no foreign interference, as in a foreign government, but what about the domestic interference? What about those foreign nationals that are undocumented, illegal in our country, that are voting in our elections, primarily Democrat? What about that? What about domestic interference? Non-citizen votes by county? Non-citizen promo by county, non-citizen organization by county, targeted district breakdown by non-citizen data, data ACC accumulation, data accumulation or data whatever, voter irregularities, internal. That is the kitten. Do you hear him? Sounding like he's lost his last friend. Sounds pathetic, doesn't it? I've fed him, he's got water, he's got dozens of toys to play with. Anyway, what he doesn't like is that my attention is on you. So that is his issue. But when I'm finished this, I will give him the attention that he wants and deserves. All right. So Q is asking about all this. What about the non-citizen votes? What about the non-citizen organizations? Voter irregularities, internal. -2, laws enacted in battleground areas as tasked for 2020, voter roll screening, review of non-votes, Democrat, ballot population, track for sign, submit late for count, vote swing, figures plus rule of law, new standard of no-show vote, Supreme Court 2019 scope case. I'm not sure if that is South Carolina or Supreme Court. Why do the Democrats push for no voter ID in U.S. elections? Well, that's easy to answer. They don't want us to have voter ID because they want the illegals to be able to vote. Now, I know when I was even though I have a green card and legal resident of the U.S., whenever I went to get my tags or whatever, they would always ask, do you want to register to vote? Or try to get me registered to vote. And I'd say, I can't vote. Why can't you vote? Well, because I'm a legal resident. I'm not a citizen. Oh, you can vote. No, I can't. Yes, let me sign you up. No, I cannot vote. I mean, that was right in my paperwork. You can't vote. And I knew that, but nobody else seemed to care. They were always trying to get me to vote. And I'd say, no, I am not going to vote because I'm not legally entitled to vote. Not a citizen. Shouldn't be able to vote, right? And I knew that, and I wasn't about to do something illegal because I'd like to keep my green card. So, yeah, but I could have gone and voted. Nobody would have batted an eye. But if there was voter ID, that would not be possible. So, why do Democrats push for open borders? Same reason. Although there are other reasons as well, because it's, their pocketbook is involved as well. But it's also, they want voters because we know that the illegals vote for Democrats. Find the connection. Oh, I think we found the connection. I think we've known the connection for quite a while now. Sometimes a map helps. I guess it's Supreme Court decision 6-3 ruled voter ID did not suppress votes or deter minorities. Well, let's go look. That Q just provides us with so much cool information. I mean, really. Supreme Court upholds, so it is Supreme Court. Supreme Court upholds photo ID voting law. Washington, Reuters, the Supreme Court on Monday upheld a tough state law requiring voters to show photo identification, a decision critics say could keep some blacks and poor people and other traditional Democrat supporters from voting in the November election. Why would it keep black people from voting? Why? Why would they be afraid to show photo ID? They wouldn't. Why would poor people be afraid to show voter ID? They wouldn't. The only people that would be afraid to show voter ID would be the people that didn't have it. The people that shouldn't be voting in the first place, right? Of course. And we know that the people that shouldn't be voting in the first place are the ones that vote Democrat. So that's why they are upset. Resolving a partisan political battle, the country's high court voted 6-3 to reject a legal challenge by Democrats that Indiana's toughest in the nation voter identification law would deter minorities, the elderly, and others from casting ballots. The main opinion agreed with Republican supporters that the law was necessary to prevent voter fraud and safeguard public confidence in the integrity of elections. The Bush administration supported the law. The court handed down the ruling just 8 days before the crucial Indiana presidential primary election featuring Democratic candidates Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. If elected in November, Obama would be the first black U.S. president, while Clinton will be the first female U.S. president. The effect of the loss will begin to be felt next week when Indiana holds its presidential primary using the voter ID law the court has just upheld, said Nathaniel Persily, an election law expert at Columbia University in New York. The decision could have broad national significance because more than 20 states have adopted voter identification laws and other states are considering similar legislation. The law requires a government-issued photo ID, such as a driver's license, to vote in federal, state, and local elections. Indiana Secretary of State Todd Rokita, a Republican, said the timing of the ruling was good because it was the first time since 1968 that Indiana's presidential primary had mattered and voter registrations had surged this year. In 7 elections since Indiana put the law into place, the requirement hasn't been an issue based on complaints to his office, Rokita said. Reaction to the ruling are split along political lines. The decision not only confirms the validity of photo ID laws, but completely vindicates the Bush Justice Department when it approved a similar Georgia law, said former department official Hans von Spakovsky. Democrats sharply criticized the ruling, and of course they would. Okay, well, let's go back to Q. Why? Because we can. All right. So we just looked at that. So what Supreme Court decision 6-3 ruled voter ID did not suppress votes or deter minorities. Okay, and we took a look at that. What false narrative is pushed by the Democrats regarding voter ID law? Well, yeah, Q tells us right below, he says racist. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Oh, it's racist. It's racist to ask for a photo ID. How is it racist to ask for a photo ID? Really? How is that racist? I mean, there's all sorts of people in the country, white, yellow, brown, every color, every race that you can think of is in the United States. Some of them legally, some of them not. So how is it racist to be targeting not the color? You're not targeting somebody by their skin color. You're targeting them as to whether they can legally vote or not. You don't care about what color they are. Who cares? I don't care if Hispanics vote or blacks vote or whatever nationality votes, as long as they're legally American, right? Who cares? But they push that false narrative. Oh, it's racist. You can't ask for ID. It's racist. Well, then why isn't it racist to ask for ID when you sell somebody alcohol or cigarettes? Why isn't that racist? Why isn't it racist to ask for photo ID when you write your exams in college? Why isn't that racist? Don't know. All right. Voter suppression of minority vote. That's the other one that they like to tout. Oh, it'll keep the minorities from voting. Why? You have to show your license all the time, right? I think you even have to, if you get a prescription for painkillers or something like that, you have to show your license, don't you? I mean, does that deter people from getting prescriptions from their doctors? Doesn't make sense to me. None of it makes sense. But the Democrats don't think, gee, this doesn't make sense. Well, we'll just keep pushing it, and maybe the more we push it and the more we talk about it, the more, people will say, oh yeah, that's right, that's racist. Ooh, you're racist. You asked for my photo ID. I'm going to say that next time somebody asks for my photo ID. Yeah. I'm going to say, oh, you must be a racist. You want to see my driver's license? Oh, you're a racist. Anyway, when is an ID required? An ID is required for just about everything. To write your driver's everything. You even have to show your ID to get on an airplane. Is that racist? I'm going to say that the next time the TSA, asks for my... I'm going to say, what are you, some kind of racist? Anyway, should an ID not be required at all for any reason, given the argument made by the Democrats? Well, according to the Democrats, I guess you should be able to do anything. No, they're not against asking for ID for your driver's license and all that other stuff. It's only for voting. That's racist. I don't know. I've given up trying to put myself in the head of a Democrat a long time ago because it's scary. And when you're in there, you feel like you're in an echo chamber. It's just emptiness all around you. All right. All right, does the argument a national voter ID law would suppress the minority vote suggest minorities are incapable of obtaining an ID? I don't think so. Aren't they able to obtain an ID for everything else? Minorities drive. I see them driving. I see them buying alcohol, cigarettes, all the things that you need IDs for. I mean, when I was in college, I saw them taking exams and showing their IDs. They didn't seem to have any problem. They didn't seem to have any problem getting degrees either, like advanced degrees, like masters and PhDs. So why should they be incapable of getting an ID? I don't know. I mean, do the Democrats think they're stupid? Because they're not. Anyway, when is an ID required? For everything. Which minorities are they referring to? Illegal immigrants? Of course, illegal immigrants. Of course. But you know what? Latinos are not the only illegal immigrants. There are illegal Canadians there as well. There are illegal Chinese. There's illegal everyone. I mean, you name the nationality, there's illegals in the States from those countries. It's not just Latinos. So, but I think that's mainly who they're referring to, isn't it? Because that's the vast majority that we're dealing with. I mean, even though a lot of other countries are going to Mexico and coming through that border because it's so easy. And in fact, I know people personally that have said they had trouble. They're Canadian, they're legal residents of Canada or of the United States, but they came back to Canada, had trouble getting back, so they went to Mexico and came They came up through the Mexican way because, nobody was checking. They didn't care. So, yeah, it's not just Latinos. Really. Maybe that's what I should do. No, I want to do everything above board. I've done everything above board so far, and I will continue to do everything legally because I don't ever want there to be an issue. But anyway, all right. Logical thinking. Is there a previous Supreme Court decision on the matter pre-POTUS justice confirmation? Would a national voter ID law mandate using the Supreme Court ruling of 2008 plus common sense logic arguments as the legal foundation have merit? Of course. Absolutely. And I don't think most people would argue against it. Now, yeah, I don't really like the whole thought of having a voter ID, but it's necessary because I don't know how else you can prevent, at this point, illegals from voting in our elections. Is every other country that has a voter ID law considered racist? I don't know. Are they? Now, it's been a long time since I've voted in Canada because I've lived in the United States for most of my adult life anyway. So I'm not sure if Canada requires voter ID, but I do believe that they do. I'd be absolutely gobsmacked if they didn't. I've got lots of friends that help in the elections. I should ask them, but as far as I'm concerned, you do. But correct me if I'm wrong, please, in the comments below. But yeah, there's lots of countries. In fact, most countries, if not all countries, require ID to vote. I mean, it's nonsensical that you wouldn't, right? Okay, now let's look at this link. Why? Because Q wants us to. That's why we're here, right? Okay, 4th U.S. Circuit judges overturn North Carolina's voter ID law. I used to live in North Carolina. It's a wonderful state. If you're ever considering moving to a wonderful state, it is a good state to move to. Okay, in order to continue reading, you must turn off ad blocking. Hang on here. Hang on. Hang on while I turn it. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, hang on. There we go. Okay. The things I do. Okay, Raleigh, federal appellate judges on Friday struck down a 2013 law limiting voting options and requiring voters to show photo ID at the polls, declaring in an unsparing opinion that the restrictions target African Americans with almost surgical precision. Really? Okay, using logic, I don't get it. Why is that targeting African Americans? Don't they show ID for everything else? Along with the white people? I mean, everybody shows ID for everything. What's the difference? The 3-judge panel of the U.S. 4th Circuit Court of Appeals found that the law was adopted with discriminatory intent, despite lawmakers' claims that the ID provision and other changes were designed to prevent voter fraud. Yeah, of course. Like, discriminatory intent? Yeah, it's discriminatory intent. I intend to discriminate against those that are not legally able to vote. Just like, if you're running a store, I mean, I know here, if you sell cigarettes to someone that's underage, you can be charged, or you can be shut down. Your license can be revoked to sell whatever. But you could say, well, that's discriminatory. Yeah, you're discriminating against those people that are not legally able to buy cigarettes. The ruling, which could have implications for voting laws in other states and possibly for the outcome of close races in the swing state of North Carolina, sent the case back to U.S. District Judge Thomas Schroeder, who in April issued a 485-page decision dismissing all claims in the legal challenge. In holding that the legislator did not enact the challenge provisions with discriminatory intent, the court seems to have missed the forest in carefully surveying the many trees. The ruling states this failure of perspective led the court to ignore critical facts bearing on legislative intent, including the inextricable link between race and politics in North Carolina. The ruling prohibits North Carolina from requiring photo identification from voters in future elections, including the November 2016 general election. It restores a week of early voting and pre-registration for 16 and 17-year-olds and ensures the same-day registration and out-of-precinct voting will remain in effect. State Board of Elections officials immediately began to pull back advertising campaigns that had been designed to air on TV, radio, and other media in the coming months to educate North Carolina voters about what they would need to cast ballots in the coming election. Challengers of the election law overhaul, which was shepherded through the Republican-led General Assembly in 2013 and signed into law by Governor Pat McCrory, quickly lauded the ruling. Republican leaders criticized the ruling, noting that IDs are required to board airplanes, enter federal courthouses, cash checks, and more. They announced their plans to appeal. U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch, Loretta Lynch, who leads the U.S. Department of Justice, that was a party in the lawsuit challenging the law, praised the appellate panel for striking down a law that the court described in its ruling as one of the largest restrictions of the franchise in modern North Carolina history. Lynch described the law as one that placed barriers between citizens and the ballot box. Yes, and there should be barriers. Those not legal to vote should be barred from voting. And it sent a message that contradicted some of the most basic principles of our democracy. Lynch said in her statement, the ability of Americans to have a voice in the direction of their country, to have a fair and free opportunity to help write the story of this nation, is fundamental to who we are and who we aspire to be. Going forward, the Department of Justice will continue our work to protect that sacred right for all. Now, excuse me while I roll my eyes. Okay, everybody, come on, let's roll our eyes together. Okay, don't you feel better? A good eye roll, I don't know, it does it for me. All right, let's go back to Q. Okay, so will the DOJ support the push instead of file legal challenges as Loretta Lynch did in the past? Well, I hope so. I would assume so once the DOJ is completely cleaned out, right? If the Supreme Court ruled in 2008 that voter ID laws do not impact or harm or prevent minorities from voting, how could the U.S. Fourth Circuit Court rule opposite? Well, that's a good question. Darned if I know. Is the Fourth Circuit Court considered left, liberal? And let's go to this link. Why? Because Q wants us to. He wants us to see this. So let's. This court has gone to the left. Trump has a chance to move it to the right. Washington, President Donald Trump has spent his first 18 months in office restocking and reshaping courts all across the federal judiciary. Now he has a chance to make his mark on the Fourth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. Yay! Okay. Once considered one of the most conservative courts in the country, the Fourth Circuit was for years viewed as hostile to civil rights. It was stacked with judges approved by Senate Lyons, Jesse Helms of North Carolina, and Strom Thurmond of South Carolina, right-wing warriors who wielded heavy influence in the selection and confirmation process. But over the past decade, because of 6 appointees from President Barack Obama, pause for a second. Okay. The 15-member Fourth Circuit, which hears cases in North Carolina, South Carolina, Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia, has moved decidedly to the left. It's become a favorable court for liberal causes and a thorn in the side of North Carolina's conservative legislature, in particular striking down, among other laws, the state's voter ID mandate and a requirement that doctors provide ultrasounds to patients who want to have an abortion prior to performing the procedure. Trump has had more judges confirmed to the federal appellate court in his first 18 months than any other president, according to the Boston Globe, and now he has 3 vacancies to fill on the Richmond, Virginia-based court. Each outgoing Fourth Circuit judge has taken, or will soon take, senior status, a semi-retired status for those who have met age and service requirement, but can still hear cases and help meet the needs of the court. Trump's picks won't dramatically shift the court's ideology overnight. They will be replacing judges who have conservative or centristic reputations. 10 members of the court were picked by Democrat Presidents Obama and Bill Clinton, and 9 of those are staying on. Still, the newcomers, young and conservative, will have a lasting legacy long after Trump leaves office. My goal is to make sure we have qualified conservatives on the Fourth Circuit Court, and that's where we're headed, said Senator Lindsey Graham. Graham, who could be the top Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee in the next Congress, told McClatchy that Trump could 100% remake the Fourth Circuit. Graham added he's on a mission to help Trump do just that. So too is Senator Tom Tillis, a North Carolina Republican and a member of the Judiciary Committee. The court has 5 judges born in 1947 or earlier, opening the possibility that Trump will have more chances to reshape the court. Now, I'm going to pause there because I believe that that is what we need to know. And down here, it talks about how Trump's Supreme Court pick ruled on Supreme Court's voter ID law. In recent years, the court also struck down Virginia's same-sex marriage ban, ruled federal subsidiaries under Obamacare were constitutional, even in states that did not set up their own exchange, and backed a Virginia transgender teen who wanted to use the bathroom of a gender with which he identified. Earlier this year, it ruled against Trump's travel ban affecting certain Muslim-majority countries, which in June was upheld by the Supreme Court. Okay, I'm not going to read all of this. This is... I think suffice it for us to know that it's moving back to the right, that Trump is influencing this, so there is a chance that that could be overturned. All right, let's go back to Q. All right, why do Democrats want power at all costs? Well, with power comes control. With control comes power and money. And they need to cover their crimes, right? So they want to be in power so that they can do that. One example above, logical thinking. Facts matter. You are the news now. Q. So down here, I have written a few things. Q posted this map made by an anon a while back, and the map that we looked at, which overlays the Democrats with the areas where the most illegal aliens are, or undocumented aliens rather. Q posted this map made by an anon a while back, correlating highest population of illegal immigration with blue counties where Dems vote. The illegal vote is everything to the Democrats. They lose power without it. Democrats claim foreign interference only when their power is threatened. Democrats depend on domestic interference. They have organized illegal votes by counties and population centers. They see illegals as a voting bloc. The voter irregularities always occur where there is a high level of illegals populating the area. The AG and the Secretary of Homeland Security submitted a report to POTUS showing the impact of not just foreign interference in U.S. elections, but domestic illegal voting. Laws are being tested by Democrats in battleground states for the 2020 election. The Supreme Court will hear constitutional challenges to new laws. Georgia is one such state. Attached is an article regarding voter roll screening in Georgia, as well as judges requiring Georgia to allow non-citizens to vote. Ballot population means comparing the number of ballots to the population of a precinct. for example, if you've got more ballots filled out than you have population, there's an issue. So let's go down here. Q asks, why did the Fourth Circuit overturn voter ID law in contravention of Supreme Court 2008 decision? Devil is in the details. The appellate judges were Hussein appointees. North Carolina is a battleground state designed to make illegal voting easier before the 2016 elections. Hussein appointed radical leftists to a somewhat conservative jurisdiction, Fourth Circuit in North Carolina, while the Fourth Circuit leaned left. Thanks to Hussein, North Carolina is very much a red state and would be staunchly red but for illegals voting in the last few elections. Democrats intended to make Georgia and Florida go the way of North Carolina via illegal immigration. The appellate judges of the Fourth Circuit may be compromised, as will likely come out later, but regardless, the striking down of the required signature on the ballot based on racial justification was unconstitutional, and the DOJ will not support. Now, actually, this is not mine. This I got from Lisa May Crowley, is where I found this. And it was good, and so I used it. I do not want to pass that off as my own because once I started reading it, I realized it was not. All right, so let's go up to the next one. And the next one actually is referencing the one that we just looked at. So we don't need to look at it again. However, Q adds something to it. And he adds this. So we left off at you are the news now, Q, and then he adds this. This is just a small, let me make this bigger for those of you on your little weeny phones. This is a small list of things requiring ID, but not considered racist. Purchase alcohol, purchase cigarettes, open a bank account, apply for food stamps, apply for welfare, apply for Medicaid, apply for Social Security, apply for a job, apply for mortgage, apply for unemployment, apply for a hunting license, apply for fishing license, rent a house or apartment, buy a house or condo, drive a car, rent a car, buy a car, drive a car, rent a car, buy a car, register a car, rent a hotel, motel room, buy an M-rated video game, board an airplane, get married, purchase a gun, purchase ammo for the gun, adopt a pet, get a prescription, donate blood, pawn shop transactions. Showing ID to vote is considered racist? How stupid is that? Well, pretty darn stupid, if you ask me. Doesn't get much stupider than that. So let's go on to the next one. Shall we? Of course we shall. Here we go. And here we are at the next one. And Q says, if Adam Schiff has seen evidence of collusion and or POTUS/Russia illegal activities, as he's stated in the past many times across all Democratic arm media networks, why then is there a need to open a new investigation? Yeah, that's a good question. Like, why would a new investigation be needed if Adam Schiff is telling the truth and has seen evidence of collusion? Right? I mean, why would the current investigation not suffice? I mean, if he's seen the evidence and the evidence is there and there's an investigation ongoing, then why would a new investigation be needed? That doesn't make any sense, does it? He knows full well that the Mueller report contains no hint of collusion and exonerates Trump. He knows that. Of course he knows that. Adam Schiff is wanting us to think that Mueller was negligent in his duties and a new investigation must start. That's what he's wanting us to believe. Because have you noticed now, he's just all these little picks at Mueller, as if Mueller didn't do his job. So we need to start this all over again. We need to start a new investigation because Mueller didn't do his job. And you know why? Because Mueller didn't find anything. For 2 years, he's investigated and found nothing. Nothing, not a shred of evidence indicating any type of collusion on behalf of Trump or his associates. Really, well, some have been charged, but not for the reasons that it wasn't really colluding with Russians that they were charged with. So, yeah, it's just a little bit odd, isn't it? That he wants to start a new investigation. What about the so-called evidence already seen? Why start a new investigation if the evidence is already there, right? Wouldn't the investigation that they just did suffice? I mean, if the evidence is there, which it's not, it's obviously a lie, right? Because there's no evidence. He couldn't have seen evidence because there is no evidence. Because if there was, Mueller would have been parading that out. How is Adam Schiff making open statements regarding Mueller not investigating POTUS/Deutsche Bank thorough enough if the Mueller investigation itself is classified? Oh, that's a good question, isn't it? Like, how could Adam Schiff have had access to the evidence in the Mueller investigation if it's classified? He couldn't. He didn't. He's lying. Unbelievable. How does Adam Schiff know what Mueller has or hasn't investigated? Is he lying? Is someone leaking this info to him? Or is someone giving him the information to leak on purpose? I don't know. I mean, it's one of two things. It's one of three things, actually. He's either lying because the investigation is classified, so he shouldn't know anything about it, Adam Schiff, but he's claiming, oh, he's seen the evidence. But Mueller is saying there is no evidence of collusion, right? So there's a disconnect there somewhere. And knowing Adam Schiff, it's probably with him because, I mean, shifty-eyed Schiff, I mean, what is that with both him and Occasional Cortex have the, I've never seen the likes of it. But anyway, how does Adam Schiff know what Mueller has or hasn't investigated? Well, okay, it's one of three things. He is either lying, which is what I suspect, or there's somebody from the Mueller investigation feeding him information and leaking to him, which I sincerely doubt. Or somebody is leaking to him on purpose to make him think that and say that when that's not the case, to trap him. I don't know. Personally, I think he's lying. I just think he's a liar. He's a leaky liar. Fake news designed to keep the fake narrative in play. Cover. Yeah, of course. You know, he wants to keep that in the foremost in the minds of people. Collusion, Russia. Even though Mueller has found nothing, he's saying, oh, we got to start investigating again because I know that there's evidence. I've seen the evidence. Whatever. And he wants to draw this out to 2020. He wants to keep it in people's mind that, well, I don't know, maybe he did collude with Russia. I don't know. And it's designed to cover. You are witnessing the greatest disinformation campaign to ever be pushed by a political party. Oh, yeah. Ask yourself why. Well, I think we know why, right? Oh, they never thought she would lose. They're trying to cover up their crimes. They are the ones that are complicit in all this. Oh, there's collusion, all right. Just not from Trump. Fear of what? Yeah, why push the fake narrative? Because they know that if they don't, all their crimes will become glaringly apparent to the public. And they are glaringly apparent to those of us that are awake, right? We see it plain as day, crystal clear. It is the only chance they have to save themselves. It's amazing what you'll do when you're desperate, right? You know, when you corner an animal, that is when they are the most dangerous. You just shouldn't ever corner a wild animal because that is when, they will fight to the death. The message must be direct. The war is very real. Q. And I think by now we've all realized that this is real. We are in a war. It's a war unlike any war we've ever fought. It's a very odd war. It's an information war, basically. Now, let's go up to the next. And I believe it may be the last. It is. And it's a big one. It's a big one. Wait. No, it's not the last one. I lied. Not on purpose, but I lied. Okay, so here is the next one, and Q is making reference to an earlier post of his, and I know you can't see that, so I'm going to make it bigger for you in just a moment. And where did I put that? I think right here is the bigger graphic. Come on. There we go. Okay, now this is the one that Q is referencing. It is a post from May 4th, and in this May 4th post, he references an even earlier post from April 27th, where he says, focus only on the FBI for now. Jim Rybicki, Chief of Staff and Senior Counselor, fired. James Baker, General Counsel, fired. Andrew McCabe, Deputy Director, fired. James Comey, Director, fired. Bill Presap, Head of Counterintelligence and Strzok's boss, cooperating witness, power removed. Peter Strzok, Deputy Assistant, Director of Counterintelligence, cooperating witness, power removed. Lisa Page, attorney with the FBI's Office of the General Counsel, cooperating witness, power removed. Conspiracy? Think about the above. Only the above. Get the picture? Q. I think we get the picture. All right, and then beneath that it says updated. James Baker, fired. Reported today as resigned, which is false. He was removed. January, fired. April 21st. Lisa Page, fired. Reported today as resigned. False. Testimony received. Tracking, yes. Added, Mike Cortan, FBI Assistant Director for Public Affairs, fired. Cooperating under resigned title. Josh Campbell, Special Assistant to James Comey, fired. DOJ. And this is the above was from the FBI, and the beneath is the DOJ. David Loffman, Chief of the Justice Department's Counterintelligence and Export Control Section, National Security, Hillary Rodham Clinton email investigation, fired. Forced. John Carlin, Assistant Attorney General, Head of DOJ's National Security Division, fired. Forced. Sally Yates, Deputy Attorney General and Acting Attorney General, fired. Mary McCord, Acting Assistant Attorney General, Acting Head of DOJ's National Security Division, fired. Forced. Bruce Orr, Associate Deputy Attorney General, demoted 2 times, cooperating witness, power removed. Rachel Brand, Associate Attorney General, number 3, official behind Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein, fired. Forced. Cross against the House Senate resignations, final term announcements, plus CEO departures. Conspiracy? Fake news? The swamp is being drained. Trust the plan. Justice. Let's go back to Q. So that was what he was referencing above, and beneath we have this. Figure 3.1, which we're going to see beneath, the FBI chain of command for mid-year investigation, James Comey, FBI Director, fired. Jim Rybicki, Chief of Staff, fired. Andrew McCabe, Deputy Director, fired. James Baker, Office of General Counsel, fired. Bill Presap, Head of Counterintelligence, Strzok's boss, power removed, cooperating witness. Lisa Page, Special Counsel, fired. Peter Strzok, Lead Investigator, Deputy Assistant Director of Counterintelligence, power removed, escorted out, Class F. Michael Steinbach, John Glasalone, Randy Coleman, Trisha Anderson, Kevin Kleinsmith, Trisha Gower, Sally Moyer. Nothing to see here? Logical thinking. Biggest cover-up in U.S. history. Attempted. They didn't succeed. Q. Now, these all have question marks. Sally Moyer, Trisha Gower, Tashina Gower, Kevin Kleinsmith, etc. All right, and let's go on because it continues. And we've already looked at the graphic above that he had alluded to earlier, the post that he had alluded to. And then there is this, which is the chain of command for the mid-year investigation, and most of these people are now gone. So it's FBI James Comey, Chief of Staff over here. Underneath was Andrew McCabe, Special Counsel Lisa Page, NSB, this is Michael Steinbeck, John Glacioni, Jim Baker. So most of these people have been fired. Now, let's look at this. I think this might be, hang on. Yeah, I think this is just a bigger one of this. But most of these people, according to Q, have been fired. In fact, all of these people have been fired. Although I don't know about Mark Giuliano. I don't know if he was listed or not. Let's go back. Okay. He's not mentioned, so I'm not sure whether he's still there or not. Okay, so let's go down here, and Q is providing us with another link, and we're going to go there now. Well, hopefully we're going to go there. Let me close some of this down so I can hopefully speed things up a little bit. Okay, Judicial Watch. FBI General Counsel talked to Hillary Clinton's lawyer about Comey's letter on Wiener laptop Clinton emails. Judicial Watch announced today it received 215 pages of records from the U.S. Department of Justice revealing former FBI General Counsel James Baker revealing former FBI General Counsel James Baker discussed the investigation of Clinton-related emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop with Clinton's lawyer, David Kendall. Baker then forwarded the conversation to his FBI colleagues. Tom Fitton, the deep state swamp doesn't care about our national security if it means getting... Okay, this is not the same thing here. This is what we are wanting to see right here. So, the documents also further describe previously reported quid pro quo from the Obama State Department offering the FBI more legal attaché positions if it would downgrade a redaction in the email found during the Hillary Clinton email investigation from classified to something else. The newly obtained emails came in response to a May 21st order in a January 2018 Freedom of Information Act lawsuit filed after the DOJ failed to respond to a December 4th, 2017 Freedom of Information request. Judicial Watch seeks all record of communications, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and instant chats between FBI official Peter Strzok and FBI attorney Lisa Page, all travel requests, travel authorizations, travel vouchers, and expense reports of Peter Strzok, all travel requests, travel authorizations, travel vouchers, and expense reports of Lisa Page. On October 28, 2016, the day that Comey sent a letter to Congress regarding the FBI's discovery that the Wiener laptop contained Clinton's emails, Hillary Clinton's personal lawyer, David Kendall, within hours emails Baker requesting a call ASAP about the Comey letter. Baker describes his follow-up call to senior FBI officials. I received the email below from David Kendall and I called him back. Before doing so, I alerted the DOJ via email that I would do that. Redacted paragraph. He said that our letter was tantalizingly ambiguous and made statements that were inchoate and highly ominous, such that we had done was worse than transparency because it allowed people to make whatever they want to make out of the letter to the prejudice of Secretary Clinton. I told him that I would not respond to his request at the time, but that I would discuss it with others and get back to him. I suggest that we have some kind of follow-up meeting or phone call with this group, either this evening or over the weekend, to address this and possibly other issues, questions that come up in the next 24 hours. Sound reasonable? Baker's heads up on the Kendall call was sent to then Director James Comey, since fired, then Associate Director David Bowditch, who later replaced Andrew McCabe as Deputy Director, Michael Steinbach, the FBI's former Executive Assistant Director for National Security, then Assistant Director of Counterintelligence, E.W. Presap, now retired, James Rybicki, former Chief of Staff to Comey, FBI Intelligence Analyst Jonathan Moffat, former Acting Assistant Director Jason V. Herring, Michael Cortan, FBI Assistant Director for Public Affairs, now retired, former Principal Deputy General Counsel Tricia Anderson, Strzok, and Page. The emails show that a conference call for the above senior officials was set up the next day by Peter Strzok, 2 days before the election on November 6. Comey sent a second letter reporting that the FBI's review of the Wiener laptop material would not change his conclusion that Hillary Clinton could not be prosecuted. On October 13, 2016, former FBI attorney Lisa Page sent an email which apparently references a related Judicial Watch Freedom of Information Act lawsuit and further discusses a previously reported quid pro quo offer from the State Department. Jason Herring will be providing you with 302s of current and former FBI employees who were interviewed during the course of the Clinton investigation. These 302s are scheduled to be released to Congress in an unredacted form at the end of the week and produced, with redactions pursuant to Freedom of Information Act, at the beginning of next week. As you will see, they describe a discussion about potential quid pro quo arrangements between the DAD in IOD, Deputy Assistant Director in International Operations Division, and an Undersecretary at the State Department, where IOD would get more legal attaché positions if the FBI could change the basis of the Freedom of Information Act, withhold regarding a Clinton email from classified to something else, emphasis added. The lawsuit also forced the release of a November 6 email by then FBI official Peter Strzok telling Bowditch, Presap, Rybicki, Page, former FBI General Counsel James Baker, and others. John and I completed our review of all the potential Hillary Rodham Clinton work emails on the Anthony Weiner laptop. We found no previously unknown, potentially classified emails on the media. Lie. Big old lie. Okay, now well, we're almost done here. So, not sure where I left off here. As Judicial Watch previously reported, there were at least 18 classified emails found on the Weiner laptop by the FBI. Paul Sperry, Real Clear Investigations report, revealed that only 3,077 of the 340,000 emails were directly reviewed for classified or incriminating information. That is just a very, very tiny percentage. The new records also include a September 2nd, 2016 email that Comey forwards containing a press release issued that day by Senator Chuck Grassley, in which Grassley criticized the FBI for not publicly releasing many unclassified records relating to the Clinton email server investigation as demanded by Congress. In his cover note, responding to Grassley's charge, Comey tells his top aides to be great is to be misunderstood. Page then responds with, outstanding. On October 23, 2016, Strzok forwards to Page and others the Wall Street Journal article revealing that Andrew McCabe's wife had received $500,000 for her Democratic state Senate campaign. Page responds that the article shaded or admitted or mischaracterized facts in order to get out the story the reporter wanted to tell. She claims that the Wall Street Journal story was just another depressing chapter in this whole post-investigation saga. And here is the kitten sneaking up, and I have to hide the cord. Sad but true. Okay, so It is big news that just days before the presidential election, Hillary Clinton's personal lawyer pressured the top lawyers for the FBI on the infamous Wiener laptop emails, said Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. These documents further underscore that the fix was in for Hillary Clinton. When will the Justice Department and FBI finally do an honest investigation of the Clinton email scandal? All right. Well, Judicial Watch's discovery will seek answers to whether Clinton intentionally attempted to evade the Freedom of Information Act by using a non-government email system. Yes, she did. Whether the State Department efforts to settle this case beginning in late 2014 amounted to bad faith, and whether the State Department adequately searched for records responsive to Judicial Watch's Freedom of Information request. All right, let's go back to Q. All right, so now Q sums it up. Baker's heads up on the Crandall call was sent to then Director James Comey, since fired, then Associate Deputy Director David Bowditch, who later replaced Andrew McCabe as Deputy Director, Michael Steinbach, the FBI's former Executive Assistant Director for National Security, then Assistant Director of Counterintelligence E.W. Presap, now retired, James Rybicki, former Chief of Staff to Comey, FBI Intelligence Analyst Jonathan Moffa, former Acting Assistant Director Jason Herring, Michael Cortan, FBI Assistant Director for Public Affairs, now retired, former Principal Deputy General Counsel Tricia Anderson, Strzok and Page. Does the list look familiar? Reread drops regarding FBI mid-year OIG and review graphics. Q. So now this is by Lisa Mae Crowley. Judicial Watch announced today it received 215 pages of DOJ records detailing how FBI General Counsel Baker spoke with Hillary Rodham Clinton lawyer Kendall about her emails on Wiener's laptop and how Hussein's State Department offered quid pro quo for downgrading the classification of the emails found. So Strzok killed the investigation into classified emails on Wiener's laptop. He claimed there were no classified emails when there clearly were. Comey, McCabe, and others covered for Hillary and lied to Congress. Almost all senior admin people were in on the Clinton cover-up, and the FBI senior admins were both covering and squashing any legitimate investigation into the emails. Hillary's lawyer, Kendall Baker, conveyed his conversation with Hillary Rodham Clinton to the FBI senior administration, who immediately set to work to cover for Clinton and hide her treason from Congress. As a result, all of the senior administration of the FBI have either been fired or forced out. They are being investigated and will be prosecuted. The evidence is coming out via Judicial Watch Freedom of Information request, and the OIG report will show the treason and cover-up of the FBI's senior administration. Let's go on. Hang on, I've got to, 1 second here. Forgive me for a second. I want to cut this because it belongs up here. And we're going up to the next, and we're drawing to a close. Thank goodness, because this has been a long one. All right, now, this is the next. It says, well, actually, it's showing this status from Adam Schiff. Now, I have gone and clipped it out for us to save a little bit of time. And he says, step 1, hype an invented threat of an invasion of terrorists, murderers, and rapists. Step 2, send troops to border to address the imaginary threat. Step 3, justify the wall as necessary to protect troops sent to meet the non-existent threat. Step 4, executive time. He's a piece of work, isn't he? Yeah, he is. Now, here's Q's response. Let's actually use facts. Step 1, hype an invented threat of POTUS working with the Russians' disinformation campaign. Step 2. Send FBI, DOJ, Congress, Senate, CIA, NSA, Intel, Five Eye, etc. to address and investigate the imaginary threat. Step 3. Justify the special counsel and millions of taxpayer dollars spent as necessary to protect the public and our election process against an imaginary, made-up, non-existent threat, which really is designed to protect the illegal activities of many elected officials. Step 4. Open new, fake, and false investigations as chairman of the House Intel Committee to retain disinformation campaign designed to keep liberal, Democrat Americans on board to regain power and prevent prosecution. Executive time. Q. Gotta love Q. Gotta love him. Now, so just to reiterate, these are the facts. A disinfo campaign was waged by the Democrats to hype a non-existent threat of POTUS colluding with Russia. We know that's bunk. 2. The FBI, DOJ, CIA, Congress, Senate, Five Eye, etc. were sent to investigate a non-existent threat. Number 3. Justify the special counsel and the millions of taxpayer dollars wasted on an unnecessary investigation, which is in effect designed to protect the activities of those who really are guilty. 4. As chairman of the House Intel Committee, which Adam Schiff is, open a new unnecessary investigation into POTUS to maintain the cover and keep the disinfo fake narrative in the mainstream media until they can hopefully win back the presidency in 2020. Executive time. Q. Yeah. He just lays it all out, doesn't he? Gotta love Q. Okay, now, this is, I believe, and it is, the last one from today, unless Q has posted in the meantime, and if he has, I will catch that up tomorrow because it is now after 12. All right, now Q is making reference to the one that we just looked at, the post that we just looked at, and he adds to it. Life lesson, Adam Schiff. The next time you leak classified information, don't have your phone or allow phones of the unknown go between students present. FISA works both ways. Q. I bet you tonight Adam Schiff has filled his diapers. I bet. He's saying, next time you leak classified information, don't have your phone around. And by the way, those students that you have, make sure they don't have their phones around either. Yeah. Now we know why he's called Shiffy Pants. All right. Well, that's been a long one, and I'm sorry. I tried to be as concise as I could, but, we do have to cover it. So that's it for this, and I will be back tomorrow because it'll be snowing and blowing and I'll have nothing else to do except post. So look for my videos tomorrow. If Q posts, then I will, and if not, I've got tons of Q related news. So have a good night and stay safe, stay well, stay warm, and stay blessed, and I'll see you guys real soon. Bye-bye.